Hey everybody, this is Devil Dog underscore 88 going live. Devil Dog underscore 88. Where are all the devil pups? Roof, roof. Oh Lord. So we want to talk today about what's going on, any updates on Nancy Guthrie, talk about the unaliving of a husband and wife in Columbus, the stabbing that occurred in CR says hello. What's going on, CR? Good to have you. First one in the house. Let's get it, everybody. There is a lot of stuff going on right now, literally. We have the Joanna Ruth Shields up there in California that was found by some hikers at the Big Sur mountain trails. They found her literally unalive. What's your take? Anything? There's just so much going on. So we want to talk about any updates on Nancy Guthrie, any new information. Come on in, everybody. Let's make it happen. Let's have that conversation. A little late getting on because I just had a long day. But now we can have that conversation. So what's going on, everybody? Give me your opinions on what's going on. Has anybody heard about the incident with Joanna Ruth Shields, the lady that was found in California up by Big Sur mountain trails? Found unalive. What's going on, Paige? I'm giving others the opportunity to talk. Sounds good. No problem. What about this lady, 37-year-old, that was found unalive? Yes, CR, she was found. It was reported this morning on Good Morning America. They come out that they found her on the ninth of April. They just now released some stuff, but it's just, they gave a very generic information. Found her unalive. She was up there at Big Sur Mountain doing some hiking. Some other hikers happened to go by and they found her literally unalive in the water. Apparently, she was nude in the process. 37 years old, CR. She was 37 years old, pretty young actually. She was like a skateboarder type. She had her own little channel. Yeah, she was apparently a lot of people came out and said that when they talked to them about her, they went ahead and said that she was really a nice person, a good person. Nobody had anything bad to say. Of course, no one ever says anything bad about somebody who has literally just been unalived, but still. Yeah, there was a man with her. Well, there was a man that was with that knew her. They were friends that was with her. He said something to the effect about going into the restroom, and when he came out, he saw her in the water, face down, nude, and she was unalive. So I don't know. I mean, it sounds kind of fishy, to be honest. Sounds like there's a lot of stuff that needs to be answered. Um, the reports being handled, and they are not giving a whole lot of detail on the individual that was her friend with her. Sounds kind of fishy, honestly. Don't know all the details because they didn't really give a lot of details. But they did say that they talked to her friend who was with her, and I don't know, how do you go into a restroom, come out, and find the person you're with unalive? Just seems very suspicious to me. They'll figure it out. Paige says, I'm suspicious of him, so is the daughter of Lady. I mean, it just, it makes no sense, right? I mean, it just doesn't happen like that. Apparently, one of the hikers had said she had some ligature marks on her neck. And when he saw her, she had some ligature marks. However, they are saying that that was caused by possibly ants. I don't know how ants cause ligature marks that fast, from the time she was reported to the time that, they came across the friend, and the friend said that that's what happened. So obviously they called it in. But I don't know how ants make ligature marks that quickly. I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't know. I am not an ant guy. So I have no clue. But it just seems kind of odd that this all would happen so fast. But they did say the guy that told the hiker said that she had ligature marks around her neck. Maybe from a strangle. Could be a lot of things. I don't want to put anything out there, but it could be a lot of things. I was thinking of a boat unalivement. It's possible, but he was there with her. He went into the restroom. She was, I guess, cleaning up, and because they were out there doing their hiking, and when he came out, he said he saw her in the water unalive. So, I mean, that's a very busy place. That's a very busy place. It's a very popular hiking place. So I don't know how somebody pulls that off. Was she dropped off there? But then how could she be dropped off there if the guy said he was with her and he just was gone for a little, for in the restroom and then came out and she was there? Makes no sense. Like I said, they're not giving a lot of information right now. I'm sure we're going to be following this case quite a bit. Paige says, I was recalling the wrong case. Totally different. Yeah, I think you were talking about the one with the, what was her name? The hookers. The hookers. The one who was fell off the buoy and just kind of drifted away, if you will. Yeah, yeah. They were on the dinghy or something, the little dinghy. That also looks suspicious, but they didn't have enough. They didn't have enough to hold the husband for that, so they had to release him, and he was released. But it just seems like a lot of more information is coming out. Stories are not matching on that case, but on this one here in California, that's not making any sense either, to be honest. I mean, that is really like, it doesn't make any sense. Trying to see here real quick. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to say hot springs in the remote of Montana. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I don't know how somebody goes unalive, and if you're with that person, that happens that fast. It just doesn't make sense. Is it possible? Is it probable? Sure. But it doesn't make sense. I mean, once again, this is all about common sense, at least on this, as far as I'm concerned. It's all common sense. Do you know if they have trail cameras? They didn't say anything about trail cameras at all. I don't know if they have them up there. I would assume in today maybe they do. Paige says, please explain the incident again, please. So, apparently, Joanna Ruth Shields is a hiker, and she was hiking. She's like a YouTuber or something. She's got her own little channel. She's a skateboarder. She's 37 years old. She was out there hiking with her friend. The friend went into the restroom or something to that effect. She went ahead and was cleaning up or something. And when the time the friend came out, he saw her laying face down in the water and she was unalive. I don't know how long he was in the restroom. I don't know how long. They never really specified a lot of detailed information. They did find, he said when she came out there and he saw her, he was telling the other hikers when they asked what happened, he was telling some other hikers who were passing by the same thing. And he said that she was naked. So obviously you look at a sexual motive there, but this is a very place where everybody is around. You know what I mean? There's not like, it's not something where it's just hard for me to envision go ahead and pulling something like that off, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Tanya, I kind of touched base on the Big Sur case, and I think her friend is top spot. Yeah, because they didn't identify the suspect, or let me rephrase that. They didn't identify the friend of hers. They didn't identify his name. They didn't say anything about him. I mean, they didn't say anything about it. They didn't show any pictures of him. It was basically pretty really short. Almost like they wanted to keep that hush hush until they figure out what exactly happened. You know? And I get it. They don't want anything really like, putting things in people's heads that are not there. No visible signs of trauma. They are waiting on toxicology reports. That is correct. Like I said, they didn't give a whole lot of information. Yes, California. This was up in the by the Big Sur mountains in California, and it was on the ninth. The ninth of April is when this all happened. So we don't really know a whole lot. I mean, like I said, I just saw this morning. So I started, like literally watching it and figuring out what the hell was going on. Uh, but it's another case, obviously. It just doesn't look like it happened spontaneously. I mean, is it possible? I mean, look what we're dealing with Nancy Guthrie, right? Anything's possible. But just the idea that she would have become alive that quick, it just doesn't make any sense. Just saying. Doesn't make any sense. I think they'll be able to figure this out pretty quick. Was her friend, her boyfriend? They didn't really specify. Was he the boyfriend? Did they have issues? It just don't know. We really don't know right now anything more than that. Um, but yeah, just very interesting. Very interesting how that developed. No sign. All I could think of is maybe a strangulation because they said something about ligature marks, around her neck. So that's the only thing it could have been in all reality. I mean, I don't know how else you get those marks around your neck without that. Now, it has been brought up something about ants, but I just don't buy that. I just never heard of anything such like that ants would cause this that fast. Yeah, yeah. So, they're like I said, I think they're keeping everything hush hush right now until they absolutely interrogate this individual. They talk to him and interrogate him and find out exactly what he really knows. He may be telling the truth. We don't know. It just seems kind of hard to believe that something like that could happen in a well-known place that's really busy, especially this time of year. Tanya said they said it was bug bites on her neck. Yeah, I don't know how fast bug bites are gonna leave those type of marks, but I'm sure they're gonna figure it out because it just don't make sense. I mean, bottom line, don't make sense. So Nancy Guthrie, any new news? Has anybody heard anything new? Anything new with Nancy Guthrie? I'll keep talking about this when I get more information. I'll keep you guys up to speed on what's going on. But like I said, it just came out this morning, and it's been a long day for me, so I haven't really been able to do any deep dives at all. Um, but Nancy Guthrie, she's still missing. What are we now? 79, 80 days, almost 80 days. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, there's just no information. I mean, there's no, I mean, there's nothing. I mean, we're not seeing anything. We have somebody that obviously came into the picture here lately that everybody has been talking about, should I say? Everybody has been talking about, you know, all these odd things that he has had on his channel, things that he has said, things that talking about a burger chef, talking about, his brother did it, probably the biggest, thing. But we really don't know a whole lot more than that because no one's released any information. Tanya said it was a male and the hikers who found her said the guy appeared scared and shocked. Yeah, I mean, we don't really know, in all honesty. Like I said, we just don't know. That's just the bottom line. We don't know. Yeah, I saw that. Gronsky, I'm actually had the channel on. He got stopped, pulled over for his license plate not being displayed because one of the bolts had come undone on one of his lives. I think it was a couple of days ago. And he went ahead and got pulled over there by where Nancy lives in that area. They gave him a warning. I was watching it all here. They gave him a warning. Um, he's now in some type of I don't know if it's a Home Depot. Yeah, it's I don't know what it is. It doesn't. I can't see what it is, but I'm watching it right now. He went and bought some bolts to put his license plates on, but they did give him a warning. Took forever. He's at Ace Hardware. That's where he's at. Ace Hardware right now. Bought some bolts. He's putting it on, so that way he doesn't get stopped again. But it's just the idea that they had one deputy stopped him, and then two others came in. So they had three deputies over there, all for he showed him the paperwork of his new bike. He showed him the license plate. Everything was tagged and titled and the whole 9 yards. He just didn't have it displayed because, like I said, the bolt came off a couple of days ago or 3 days ago, 2 days ago when he first got here. And now, they gave him a warning. Tanya says some lady on YouTube was talking about Richard on her channel. She uses tarot cards. What did she say, Tanya? What did she say about Nancy Guthrie? Get us up to speed on what she said. I mean, once again, it's just information. I don't really get into tarot cards and all that, but at this point, we're just trying to hear any information that may be out there that may be at some point come out to be, credible or whatnot. So what did this lady say? Did she say anything specific? Did she talk about, what she saw or what she sees or anything like that? I really didn't hang around. I'm going to go back later. Okay. Well, just let us know. I mean, at this point, everybody is just, for a better lack of words, just waiting to hear something, right? And we're not going to hear the big thing. We're not going to hear the big thing. Appreciate that, Tanya. Thank you. So we have a lot of stuff happening all over. I mean, you got the case in Columbus, Ohio. You with the two husband and wife that were unalived on the 30th, literally, of December. You have a lot of just things that are going on. I mean, it's just a lot. Does anyone know about what happened with Nanos today? I think I'm sure 857 was covering that because he's had a camera that literally watches that all the time. So now, everybody, just so you know, the license plate has been put on by Jim, so he's good to go. Getting back to your question, yeah, I mean, 857, I'm sure, would have had something on his channel because he's got like three lives going on at the same time, and one is at at different places, so maybe he was there. I didn't watch anything, obviously. Tanya says Alex was there. Okay, so yeah, maybe Alex knows what was going on or what was said. I know he had to give a response to what they wanted, and I don't know what he gave. In all honesty, it's just been a busy day. Paige says, "Where tea?" Yeah, like I said, it's just something that we haven't heard anything about, really. Mrs. White says, Nano's attorney submitted a statement. Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. White. Mrs. White said, Nano's attorney has submitted a statement, I guess, on his behalf. Whatever he was going to do or whatever information he was going to give, his attorney went ahead. And that's normal. Your attorney normally will do stuff like that. So, I mean, I can tell you right now, his days are numbered. Not because I think he did anything like really, really bad. It's just he lost the confidence of the people, and when you lose the confidence of the people that you're supposed to represent and you're supposed to go ahead and protect, when you lose the confidence of those people, that's what happens, without a doubt. Nothing happened to Nanos today, says Mary Ann. He handled in his answers too late, so it's going to be continued till the next meeting. Yeah, more drama there. At the meeting they had over Nano's job and trying and lying about his job history. Yeah, I think that was a whole crux of it. They were going to find something, and they found that there was some stuff that he had gone through at his previous job. I believe it was in, I can't think of that place in Texas, but he worked somewhere out there in Texas, and he had some issues, and he stated that he never had any issues, and so they're using that as a form of not being truthful on his application. Yeah, the stop. So yeah, I mean, it's like I told you guys before. When you lose confidence, this is what happens. This is what happens, and especially when you're not giving the people that you represent, that you serve in your county, when you're not giving them anything as far as any reason to believe that they can put their lives in your hands and they can trust everything you do, this is what happens. This is exactly what happens. Pay says no clue what we're talking about except Nanos. Nanos had was supposed to submit his information in writing to the council meeting that he was in reference to why he didn't say everything that he was on his application. So apparently he turned his paperwork in and it was late, I guess, according to some. His attorney turned some information in and they're going to talk about it at the next meeting. That's what it is. They're trying to get Nanos out, and I think they're going to be successful at the end of the day. Marianne, no news on Nancy's case. Other than that one individual that we had been talking for the last 4 or 5 days, nothing. Richard, we haven't heard anything about, other than him, we haven't heard anything. There's nothing been going on. It's kind of really troublesome because by even a long time ago, like maybe a week after this happened, they should have had something. It's just very, it just doesn't make sense. Tanya, oh, I did hear one thing today. People talking about Cameron's car being in Nancy's driveway before the police arrived. Interesting. I haven't heard that. I have not heard that at all. Interesting. Because everybody's been asking, why isn't Cameron, why isn't anybody talking about Cameron? That's the son, Nancy's son. So, the oldest. So, that's been the word. Why are no one bringing up Cameron? He has been really quiet ever since that first interview that Savannah, Cameron, and Annie did. There hasn't been anything that he has said, at least that I'm aware of. I thought he lived in Vermont. Well, I think he has a lot of condos or whatnot that he had built, rentals in that Tucson area. So apparently he has a lot of business there as well. Tony says, got to go back and watch old footage, and I can't tell you where I saw it. Marianne, a lot of people are saying Cameron was involved. Yeah, I mean, everybody's saying somebody was involved. Obviously, I don't know. I mean, we went from TC and Annie to literally to now Cameron. I mean, to the people of interest, LD, down to the backpack guy. I mean, you know, there's so many people that it could have played, and then even to this last guy, how he was really out there, the Richard guy. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think people are just throwing stuff out there and see what sticks, which is not really good to do because you put people in harm's way, you put people in jeopardy when you do stuff like that. But that's what's happening. Lowbird, the family is obviously involved in some way. Yeah, I wish we had a little bit more information to be able to substantiate that. The problem is we just don't. But there's information, you just have to piece the puzzle together. But when you don't have a whole lot, man, it's really hard to piece that puzzle. Sometimes you just got to go with what they give you. Because when you start deviating outside the box, that's when you start making, assumptions that could get people hurt. No doubt about it. Gene's in the house. The story don't make sense. None of it makes any sense. No doubt about it. None of it makes sense. Marianne, in my opinion, the family is not involved. Yeah, I don't know. Really don't have, we have no information, right? I mean, that's the sad thing about it. They're giving us baloney. If you got anything you need to send me, Gene just put out the email address. Make sure you have it. April's in the house. Well, Nano has 2 weeks extension with a lawyer. Yes. It's 2 weeks to go ahead and figure out what's going to happen or what he's going to do, whether he's going to fight it or whether he's going to not take a chance of losing his pension. Because I think if he elects to resign, he's not going to lose his pension. But if he fights it and he loses, he will lose all them years in law enforcement. So that's a lot. That's a lot to gamble. No doubt about it. Even when you know or you think you're right, that's a lot to gamble. Groundsky, wash, spin, dry, repeat. Extra spin. Extra wash, right? Extra spin. Make sure that sucker is literally rinsed out. As far as Nano goes, I heard from the board that even if he answers the questions, they got him because he lied on his entrance. Yes. Yeah, I mean I think it's a pretty much done deal in all honesty. Knowing law enforcement like I know it, I think that when they want to get you out, they're going to get you out. And I think you have to be You have to know that. And what he has to realize, which I'm sure he does, is do I lose all my years that I've done in law enforcement, or do I just say the hell with this, I'm out? You know, it's a very yeah, it's a very touchy subject, no doubt about it for him. April, he also has active lawsuits against him. That seems like a common thing anymore these days, right? They found a way to do it without signatures, I guess. I mean, yeah, you know, it's going to happen one way or the other. It's going to happen. And like I said, he didn't really go ahead and make it hard for them to do what they're doing, right? He didn't make it hard. I mean, I would say he actually contributed to his own demise if you want to know the truth. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Gene says, I think since he got away with so much from Texas and such, somehow he got through to Arizona. Yeah, I mean, the stuff that they said he has done in his prior days in Texas, I mean, I was kind of shocked that he even got the position of a sheriff because that was a lot of stuff that was really like serious stuff, you know? Here's the other thing. You also got to remember, Nanos, somebody had to do his background. And I think this gets lost in the weeds here. Somebody had to do his background. And you know who usually does his background? It's the outgoing sheriff. He'll do the background. Or he'll put somebody in charge like detectives or people that he knows. But I would venture to say that sheriff has to do the background. Okay? And well, but that's my point, Tanya, is that the sheriff is the one that's responsible for his background getting checked. But to my understanding, at some point, they were really good friends. And the sheriff has stated that he did endorse him to be the sheriff. So someone had to know what baggage he was bringing in, right? So as much as we want to blame Nanos for not telling, not putting all the truthful stuff, you also got to look at who in the hell went ahead and pushed for him. Because I'll tell you right now, if a sheriff is going out and he recommends somebody that's coming in, he's going to push that person to get there. And if that happens, well, he has a lot to blame in this as well. They've known for 40 years. I personally think he is protecting someone who needs to stay in the mine. That's just very possible, April. Very possible. But you understand what I'm saying? The previous sheriff went ahead and endorsed him. Now, if the previous sheriff had a good relationship with the people, to my understanding, and not only the people, but the people who he literally works for, okay? So I know he's at an elected position, but they also can either make it easy for him or make it hard for him. They liked him. He was well liked. So when he finally hung it up and said, I'm done, he recommended Nanos. That's probably why you didn't see a whole lot of anything being done on the background. He's just, hell, just to work in mental health and state police did my background check and I had to be fingerprinted too. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, somebody obviously dropped the ball. Yes, Nanos probably wasn't truthful on some things. Totally get it. But you also got to look at the people who did his background check because they would have found that. The stuff that they reported that he had been involved in and had done, there's no way in hell that if they would have put that out there that he would have been selected to be a sheriff. It just would have never happened. That I can tell you. Yeah, no doubt, right? Gene says somehow someone hit all this record and the slid through. I'm telling you, especially in the sheriff's department, a lot of it is who you know. It's not so matter what you know; it's who you know. Okay, it's the good old boy network. It just is. It's always has been. In every situation that I have encountered or have talked to people or have known people that have held that position, that's what it's all. That's what it is. It's just a good old boy network. That doesn't mean they're not good at their job. Obviously, what they do, but sometimes when you overlook things, this is the kind of shit that happens. Yeah, if that would have come out, he would have never won. He would have never ran. He couldn't have run. They would have not they would have said you're they probably would have said you're just disqualified from the get-go, right? I mean, it's that simple. But when people use the good old boy system to get people through, and that's what the sheriff's department is. They put people who they want in those positions. That's just how it works. Tanya says, hit the like, everybody. Hit that like. If you are not a subscriber, subscribe. Do me that favor. If you're just listening, subscribe for free. It doesn't cost you anything. Be a devil pup in the channel. Nancy did pay the price. No doubt about it, Paige. No doubt about it. And still, I mean, we haven't heard nothing but crickets, literally. I mean, that's the sad thing about it. This is what happens when you put people in charge who really have no experience. This is when something goes south. This is like the worst thing you could have is people who don't have a whole lot of experience in those positions. But that's what sheriffs do. They want to put people that are going to do what the sheriff wants them to do. You know what I'm saying? It's a control type of thing. People that he can trust, people that he knows he can roll, people that he knows he can go ahead and get them to do what he wants them to do. Unfortunately, that's just how it rolls in there. It reminds me of all these teachers everywhere lately that are teaching but arrested for doing horrible stuff. They didn't see anything. No doubt. I agree. There's a lot. I don't want to say there's a lot, but there's some. There's always bad apples in everything. No doubt about it. Tanya says they had the Three Stooges investigate this case. Yeah, I mean, as harsh as that is, yeah, they just had a lot of lack of experience. I think they got rid of a lot of their people, didn't they? They got rid of a lot of their experience when Nanos took over, to my understanding. I could be wrong, but to my understanding. Without Nancy, would any of this even come out? None of this would have came out if it wasn't what happened to Nancy. That I can tell you. No one would have cared 2 cents. They would have just waited till this whole thing ran out, his time, his tenure was done, and then they would have put somebody else to run against him. No, none of this would have come out. The fact that because of what happened to Nancy, all this had to come out. Why did it have to come out? Because the people that were put to do the job couldn't do that. They couldn't fulfill that position. And that's what happens when you get rid of your heavies. When you get rid of the people that know how to run things, and then you have something like this happen, you're in trouble, no doubt. And the buck stops with the guy at the top, without a doubt. He immediately comes across as not the smart, in my opinion. I agree. No doubt. No doubt. But that's where it's at. That's what we're dealing with, or that's what they're dealing with, because it's their county, Pima County.
Clara.
That's what they're dealing with. Yeah, right? Oh, God, that's a throwback from the past. Boss Hog from Dukes of Hazzard. And he puts, who was the guy he put in there? Gene says, we had a case out here that was national news about a lady who was in charge of the money for Dixon the second, and she was skimming money for years, living a luxurious life with a horse farm, Dixon, Illinois. Wow. We hear those things happen a lot. I mean, here it's funny because it's not funny, but that's a figure of speech, but it's ironic that we do hear a lot of that kind of stuff going on, right? You know, the greasy hands grease the squeaky wheels, right?
Clara.
And sometimes they squeak it for themselves.
Come here, Claire.
So yeah,
Hi, baby.
my God. So yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting. That's how they roll. Controller, I think, right? No doubt. No doubt. I mean, I don't know how we really don't have a suspect that they can come out with. Thanks, Gene. I appreciate it. I did get the other one too. I mean, we talked about the case over there at the Rockford neighborhood with all that's going on over there. That's very serious there. I mean, this Christian Soto, yeah, he's going to do some serious time. He won't get the death penalty because they don't have it there in Illinois. But I tell you what, that young man is not going to get out anytime. That man's never going to get out. He's done. But that just to know that four people lost their lives in that whole stabbing and killing situation, that was ridiculous. Yes, I did, and I watched it, and it's crazy. I mean, it's just the more I watch it, the more I really like look at it. We're talking about the case in what is it, Rockford, Illinois, in the neighborhood where the Christian Soto went ahead and had done some drugs. In this case, I think it was marijuana, and he had done some marijuana, and all of a sudden he got paranoid and he went crazy, really, and he went to the house of the kid that he had done the drugs with and started stabbing him. Then went after that kid's mother, Monique, started stabbing her. Those two ended up passing away. They ended up dying. And he said he claimed that it was laced with something. That's when the cops finally arrested him. That's what they said. That he had said it was laced. That's why he was all paranoid. Now, I don't think it's that hard to go ahead and pull some toxology records and go ahead and check to see what he had back in the day. If they did, they should be able to see what was in his system, you know. But the idea that then he ran over a mailman, took out literally unalived a 15-year-old. I mean, ran over the postman with his truck. Yeah, there's just so many. 4 people lost their lives that day, and 7 people were literally, literally seriously hurt. And the problem is, you look at the scars underneath. We always look at the scars that you see, but you also have those scars of PTSD, of stuff that people go through that, they know their life was this close of being unalive. And I'm telling you, as a Marine Corps veteran from war, that plays a big role in your life. And those things don't go away. Oh, you can get treatment and you can get help, but they don't go away. Okay, that PTSD, that's a whole different animal, everybody. Why is nobody talking about 7 children? Oh, well, the 7 children also, yes, and the 2 women, yes, yes, in Louisiana. That's another case, and it's not that I don't want to talk about him. It's just that sometimes there's so much happening that like you're going down the line and it's like it's not there on that order yet. You know what I mean? It's not that you forget about them. It's just that you're covering so many and you're talking about so many that yeah, there's gonna be one or two or three or four. How about the ones that really we don't even talk about because they don't have that last name? You know what I mean? The people that don't get that coverage, don't get that same literally focus like people with the last name, the right last name, or people of money or power, you know? Yeah, we're definitely getting immune to that, and that's ridiculous. No, I know what you're saying, Paige. I know where you're going with that. I agree. I understand what you're saying. But it's just becoming normal, like you said. It's becoming very numb. Everybody is becoming immune to it. Like when it comes to kids, you just expect it. Whether it's a school shooting, whether it's like the case in Illinois, or I'm sorry, Louisiana, all those children. I mean, it's just pathetic. It really is. Yeah, no doubt. And you won't hear about it. Maybe here's the sad thing. A lot of times you won't even hear about some of these things like what you're talking about in Louisiana because it's a possibly a poor area, a poor place, a place where the less than people, the people that don't have a lot of money, you know? And it seems like that stuff no one wants to talk about. No one wants to talk about that stuff. But you know what? They're human beings and they should be talked about. No doubt about it. Gronsky says rebel Confederate flag on the Dukes of General Lee. Now it's not acceptable. I mean, look, it's even more than that. It's just the idea that we just don't have our priorities in line right now. We just don't. I mean, that's just the truth of it. We haven't had it for a while. Our priorities in line, from both ends. April, Lisa, I think because we have no perp, here is why. It's just sad, no doubt about it. For that many kids to be unalive, that's just crazy. And right, domestic violence is huge. I mean, that's one of the worst things an officer can go to a call on is a domestic violence. A local officer, when he goes into domestic violence, and I've said this before, it is so unpredictable. You better be on your P's and Q's. You better know what you're going to do. And you better watch even whoever's the victim and the other one as well because they'll turn on a cop in a heartbeat. It happens all the time. It's the most unpredictable situation you can be in for law enforcement. So yeah, and that happens a lot. It just happens. It's not anything that's that we don't know, but it does happen. And for law enforcement, you gotta really be careful because I've seen it. I've watched the tapes. I've watched the videos. I've been to those trainings. I get it. 1 minute, you got this person that literally is literally who you're trying to help, and the next minute when you go to arrest somebody, the other person's coming at you from behind. That's why they always usually send, a couple, 2 to 3 cars out there or 3 officers in separate vehicles. They'll send them out there because it's a very touchy situation. Tanya says, suspect. Suspect was shot. So we won't hear much. So that's why we won't literally we won't hear anything, because of that reason. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. It's ridiculous. But that's what happens a lot of times. Everything is so overloaded that that's what happens, literally. You know? And what fault do these kids have to take it out on all these kids? You know, it's just crazy. But yeah, Jim's out there searching right now, talking about riding with Jim or Jim going live or whatever. He's out there searching, and you got all these different people that are doing what they're doing, and nothing, crickets. We're not seeing anything. No doubt, we need help. No doubt, totally agree. If you are in the chat, if you are in the live, please subscribe, become a member. What do you all think about Richard? What do you all think about him? Seriously. Yes, no doubt. What do you all think about Richard? What is your honest opinion on that situation? He is a wackadoodle. He is a numbnuts. Uh, he is definitely not all there. It appears to be. But even people that are not to be all there, they can also tell you the truth, right? That's what's really like nerve wracking is you don't know which way to go. So then you got to follow all the clues that. And yes, I mean, could he be the perp? Is he the one that's the perp and not his brother that he's claiming is the one in the front of Nancy's porch? Marianne says he is one of the perps in my opinion. Probably, no doubt. R needs a lot of help at least. No doubt. Suspects suspect, but after Nano today, I think family now. Very possible. Very possible. Very, very possible. You know? I mean, I watched a movie last night. And I want you all to check this movie out, okay? Just hear me out. I'm just going to throw this out there for whatever it's worth. And I know these other people may come on and say, oh, he's crazy. He don't know what he's talking about. I'm just telling you. I watched this movie last night. And it was called Frailty. Frailty. It stars Matthew McConaughey. And it also stars the late I think it's Paxson who played in Twister. And all right. Yes, that's the guy. He's one of them. And I'm telling you, when you watch this movie, we watched it on Tubi. But when you watch Bill Paxton, thank you very much, Tanya. When you watch that movie, I'm telling you, it is so similar. It is so damn similar of what we've been hearing from Richard. That's all I'm going to say. If you get a chance, watch Frailty. 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 And I'm telling you, you're going to be like, huh? I mean, it was so freaking creepy. There was just a couple things that were changed around. Like instead of putting somebody in the water, they're putting them in a rose garden, not a rose lake, not a rose canyon lake, but a rose garden. I'm telling you, if you watch it, you're going to be like, your mouth is going to drop. Okay? Your mouth is going to drop. If anyone has Amazon Prime, you can watch it there. I'm telling you, you need to watch it. I'm not saying that. Here's what I'm saying. A lot of times, people who are not all there, and I've said this before to all of you, they will literally take the role, they'll see something, and they'll insert themselves into that situation. They will react and relive that situation. Many people have done that. Many criminals have done that. Many serial killers have done that. They'll will find themselves because they're not all there. They will interject themselves into that situation. Okay, so when they do that, it's almost like they're reliving that. They're believing that that is true. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened here, but I'm telling you, when you watch this, you're going to be like, damn. I mean, there was so many, from the beginning to the end, there was so many things that were happening that reminded me exactly of what we're seeing. And I was like, oh my God, like, and even we were predicting it before it happened, and then it happened. We were like, I wonder if they're going to show this, and then they did. I wonder if they're going to show, the body parts in garbage bags, and they did. I'm wondering if they're going to show, unaliving people the way he did, and they did. So you got to watch it. I'm telling you, you got to watch it because I was like, oh my God. And the first thing that came into my mind was somebody who's not all there mentally, maybe schizophrenic, maybe bipolar, the whole 9 yards, frailty. Yes. I was like, I wonder, just wonder if I could see someone literally playing that role. I'm telling you, I know it's a movie. I'm just telling you, people do that. They find something, they adapt to it, and next thing you know, they're literally acting like they are that person. Whether it's a movie or whether it's a serial killer, they'll try to mimic somebody, or whether it's whatever. Okay? They'll insert themselves because they'll believe that they are that person, especially if they have some commonality. Okay? Now, this is just me telling you this. Growski, you welcome. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I'm telling you, you gotta watch it. I can't stress it enough. I'll leave it at that. Frailty. Okay? It's a hell of a movie, but right now, with what we're seeing, it's definitely like, oh my God, it's an eye opener. Not saying that this is what this individual has done, but don't think for 1 minute that people haven't done that because people who are not all there, that's what they do at times. They will play out like they are that person. It's almost like when you hear a story about someone, right? And you interject yourself in that story and you say, the person went through this, right? A person went through something, right? And all of a sudden you're telling this story to your friends and somehow you become that person that literally went through that, not the other guy. You become that person. Sometimes it's done unintentionally and sometimes it's done very purposely. For the mental ill, it's done because they just insert themselves into that role. And I'm telling you, you're going to like it. So I'll leave it at that because I don't want people to start going, see, Devil Dog underscore 88, he's over here thinking that it's a movie and this and that. I mean, you know, all I can tell you is it is what it is. And I'm telling you from my experience, this is part of that human brain that's not functioning right, that people have done this in the past. It's not just one, it's happened numerous times. They'll hear voices and they'll start to act out like they're the ones that everybody's trying to get. You know, they'll play that role because it suits them because they feel like they either have been done wrong or they've gone through similar situations. Watch it. You won't regret it. Frailty. I'm not going to promote that no more. But yeah, it was very interesting. But getting back to Nancy, trying to figure out, what else it could be. Someone's going to have to come out, and someone's going to have to literally. They're going to drop the ball. Someone's going to leak something sooner or later. It's going to happen. Who was the one that was talking about that possibly R was walking a dog or something? He looked like that individual. He was walking a dog by Nancy's house on the 7th or 8th or something of February. Did someone state that here in the chat? Because I thought somebody had mentioned that it looked a lot like that individual. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Want to see if I can pull it up real quick. It looks like this individual right here. I'll get it here in a minute. It may not even be on this phone. Hang on. It looks like that individual. Someone said it looked like that individual. Yes. Sleuth is the one that showed us this. Okay? This credit all goes to Sleuth. He's the one that showed us this. So that, someone said it looked like that guy was there. Paige says someone has mentioned it earlier too. That was on Sleuth last night, but it was on JLR's live. Yeah, I've noticed that when I would go in there, when I went in there, and I didn't go in there last night, but here a couple of days ago, I had went on to a live, and somehow it took me to JLR's live, and I was like, well, what the hell is it taking me here for? So yeah, it was very confusing for me, but yeah. Gronsky says SI and JLR. Miss Mandy says we have heard of her named in Ransom or elsewhere. Only Richard entwined the unknown and fantasies. It's very true. Very true. Very true. And you know what's sad is that if that's his reality, that's what makes it very jarring if that's his reality. Gronsky, guy walking a dog next to sheriff's car. Guy walking a dog next to sheriff's car. Interesting. Interesting. Now this is just to backtrack a little bit. This is the person. Let's see here. This is a person in California. If you don't know what this person looks like, that's the person in California that was found unalived. That was on GMA this morning. This individual. I know I'm jumping around, but I just noticed I had these pictures here. I wanted to show you. That is what this person, what she looked like. Found unalive, literally, in the water, face down. So, if you get if you're able to follow that story, that would be a very interesting story for you to follow. This was one of the guys who was on the trail that actually that he was one of the guys in the group that found her. He's not the guy, her friend. He's just one of the guys on the trail that found her. So I mean, it just goes without saying, everybody. It just goes without saying. You know, you go to these places, always go by twos. I know, everybody thinks, you may think you can handle yourself and you're good enough to handle yourself, but always travel in twos at a minimum. The guy Brian Enton interviewed last night that he doesn't believe it was about the ransom because the perpetual Perpetual went to TMZ. It was more about getting attention. Yeah. Well, that's what it seemed like with me, with this R guy, right? He wants attention. He literally wants attention. He wants attention. He wants to go ahead and get attention. And that's why he constantly was saying over and over and over, I hope this is not the last time we talk. I hope this is not the last time we talk. I hope we're going to be able to talk more. I hope we're going to be. That's someone that wants that attention and is using every ways, means, and form to get that platform. Okay? And he got it there for a few days until he didn't, right? Until there was a stop to that communication, right? And you all know, what happened. So that is the idea. When someone is seeking that, once again, you got to look in between the weeds and be able to see. And this is why I always said that this guy, this individual, literally is seeking something. A lot of times you'll hear it. They'll go back to the side of the crime. They'll go back to the scene of the crime. They'll look and they'll just like it's almost like a sickening high, if you will. That's what they do. In this case, it's almost like this guy didn't want the story to drop. He knows everything's going slow, right? They see that nothing's happened, and they see there's no movement. So what do? They interject and they bring that story back out again. How? Well, in this case, he accuses his brother, right? So they interject themselves into that story to get it back alive again because they don't want it to die. They love when they're getting this attention. They love when they're hearing that somebody got away with it, right? In their mind, their arrogance usually is what ends up catching up to them. Their arrogance. When they start to think that, oh, well, they don't know it's anything dealing with me. They don't know that it's me. Their arrogance is what causes them to get caught because they think they're so slick until they're not. What caught my attention with Richard is when he said he didn't want the ransom because he feared for his life, says April. Yeah, I mean, but it's almost like, but listen to even that. Listen to the drama in that statement, okay? Listen to the drama in that statement. I don't want that $1.2 million because I'm just worried about my life. I just want police protection. I mean, it's that way of almost making yourself as a victim now. Now you're the victim because everybody's after you. Well, wait a minute. Why are they after you if you didn't do anything? This is about Nancy. But then they'll put themselves in that front and center, and then they become the victim. And you're like, why would you be a victim? Why would you be? Oh, because I told on my brother. Okay, but this is about Nancy. How did you become the victim? You just shifted your concern about your safety away from Nancy when she's the one that has been done wrong, right? You understand what I'm saying? Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You got that right. We haven't. Why haven't the police or FBI said anything about it? And that is the $1 million question, literally. Why haven't they said nothing about this? Yes, they may say he's crazy. All I want to know is that they check this guy out. I don't give a damn if this guy's crazy, if he's got 2 fries, if he only got 2 chicken nuggets in his Happy Meal. I don't care. I just want to know that they checked this guy out and they literally were able to say, this is not the guy. But if they haven't checked this guy out, then they need to check this guy out. Because there's some definitely issues, some red flags everywhere. Literally red flags everywhere. So that's what I'm saying. They need to literally go ahead and check this individual. Without a doubt. Full stop. Family doesn't want it solved. In my opinion, family in charge of investigation, but I don't know. Very well could be that. But that's the idea. How did he insert himself as the victim? Nancy's the victim. Nancy's the one that didn't do anything wrong that we know of. Nancy's the one that literally was taken and possibly unalived. So how did this guy able to try to switch the narrative that he's so concerned about his life? He doesn't care about the money. It's about safety. I want to be able to have protection. It's that attention seeker. It's that attention. You got to have it about you. It's you interjecting yourself in whatever crime you're interjecting yourself so you can portray yourself as the victim. When in reality, it's not about you. You're still walking every day. You're still going where you want to go. You're still doing what you want to do. This person over here didn't have anything to do with anything. And they no longer are free to do whatever they want to do. Fact of the matter is they could be very well unalived. You know, that's what these type of people do. And you have to understand that. That is what they do. So when I heard all that, when I saw all that, in my mind, I'm telling myself, dude, it's not about you. I get it. You may be afraid, but, well, wait a minute. Let's go back to the beginning. She was taking you or not. So how did you make it about you? Well, because, by me coming forward and telling you all this, it puts my life in danger. Okay, but still, the crime is over here. This is what the crime is. You're saying that your brother did this, but somehow you're the one that's the victim. We all need to focus on you and say, we need to protect this guy. You follow me? We need to protect this guy. This guy needs protection. He's afraid. But what about the woman that was taken? That's what people do when they're seeking attention. They'll shift it back to them. They're the ones that are the victim. And it's important to understand that. It's very important to understand that. I have seen this in law enforcement many times. Okay? I have seen this personally many times. And that's when you know that's a red flag. That's a red flag bigger than big. Where you go, why is this guy making it about him? I mean, think about it. For the last, 5, 6 days, who have we talked about? Maybe even 10 days? Who have we talked about? Who has been the main focus point in everything? I have heard this name come out in other people's, not just their streamers. I'm talking news. Okay? And if you want to consider Nancy Grace and you want to consider all these other people as major news, I'm just saying. I am just saying literally. I think it's Napa Valley, to be honest. I think it's Napa Valley, April. Or, I'm sorry, not Richard. His brother lives in Napa Valley. Richard lives, I think, in California. Somewhere in California. I'm not sure, but I think it's California. But that's the whole point. And you have to see that. Because now they're interjecting themselves. Okay? That's how it works. So when I started seeing all these small, what I told you guys, small details, these little things, that's what I was looking for. And that's exactly what I saw. And that's eventually what SI saw. Because that's why he broke all contact with this individual. He started noticing things were not right. He saw what it appeared to be this guy down, parked in his vehicle, down the hill where you come down after he got done with the search. He made eye contact. The guy didn't look at him, but he looked directly at that guy, and was the guy he said was texting, and in real time he was getting those messages. Now, could it be a coincidence? Really? I don't think so. I'm tired of coincidence. I'm tired of this whole frickin' case being about coincidence. Okay? Yes, thank you. R lives in Watsonville, Watsonville, California. So that was the whole point. You follow what I'm saying? That's the whole freaking point. And that's why when you look at the little things, see, most people will look at, they're waiting for that big jugular, right? That big thing, that one thing, you know, that he did it. Oh my God. What did we all say when we heard that for the very first time? What did we say when we heard him say, "It's my brother"? What did we say? We were like, "Oh my God, he just turned his brother in. He just gave up his brother." We were all like, "What?" Right? Every one of us was like that. Every one of us. Until you started seeing the pattern. Until you start seeing the things that just did not add up. And then the question became, and I've said this before to many of you from the beginning, in the very beginning with this individual, could he be the person that's that third person? Is he the third person? Or is he actually the guy that really is involved, not his brother? Just saying. I'm just saying. And that's reality. That's a reality check. Okay? That's a reality check. So that's what I see. So going back to what we were saying, that's what people do. They interject themselves, right? They put themselves in the narrative. They put themselves as a victim. No, you're not, you may have been a victim in your life when you were a kid. If everything comes out to be that you were telling the truth, that's very probable. But not when it comes to the case of Nancy. That's why this is about Nancy Guthrie, not about you. Okay? That's how I see it. That's how I look at things. That's how I decipher things. That's how I break things down. I'm not looking for the big thing because I'm not going to get the big thing. Because believe me, if I hear the big thing, I'm going to know it from without a shadow of a doubt. Just like most law enforcement, most investigators, I'm talking law enforcement, I'm talking profilers, they'll know it when they see it. They will know it when they see it. So they're not expecting to see that. Okay? They're not expecting to see that. They're looking at all the things that paint itself. The painting is drawn, and you're painting it yourself by all the information you're getting. And then Mandy says, that's what I first saw with him, DD. I mean, look, if you understand the dynamics, you're going to see it. Okay? And I'm not saying just law enforcement understands it, but you have to understand they do it on a constant basis. So they're going to get it a lot quicker than most anybody. That's just a fact. Okay? That's why they do. That's why they are in law enforcement. That's why they're profilers. That's why they're detectives. That's why they go and investigate. That's why they handle cases. They're going to do this multiple times. They're going to see it just like if you were riding your bike. They're going to see it, right? That's what they do. That's their job. Okay, so they're going to know that more than anybody else. That doesn't mean that other people won't see it also, but they're not going to see it the way law enforcement sees it. That's just a fact. Marianne says he knew too many details. How did he know black garbage bags? Why didn't he just say 3 black bags? I mean, you can't make this up. No doubt about it. And Barbara said if R was on the outs with his brother, where did he get all that info from? You can't make it up, everybody. And I'm going to tell you something. In the movie I told you guys to watch, to see, there is 3 garbage bags in that movie, black in color with red ties. Now you go, I know everybody's going to go, oh, see, this guy thinks that, it's a. I'm just telling you. When you watch it, you'll understand. And this happened, supposedly, this was happening during the time of 1979, is when the movie is depicted at. In that era. Just saying. You can believe whatever you want. You can believe anything and anybody can say whatever they want. But a real profiler will tell you when you watch these profilers talk, they'll tell you when somebody is interjecting themselves, when someone is trying to put themselves in the narrative, when someone's trying to, they feel like they're the person that's going through this. It's their story. That's just a fact. Bridget, do you think R shared all those personal details about his stepfather abusing him for sympathy? That was very personal to be sharing with strangers on a live stream. Well, here's what I think, Bridget. I think anybody who knows what they're trying to accomplish will try to get the favor of the people that he's talking to. Okay? So, by that, I mean, he's trying to win people over. He wants that platform. He wants to have this communication. He wants to be able to gain that it's me. I've been hurt. And I'm not saying he didn't get hurt when he was a kid. Don't misunderstand me. Okay? But sympathy is not even about sympathy. Because if he was somehow involved, I would say there was no sympathy for Nancy. Okay? So the idea that that's very personal. It's not personable if someone wants to manipulate the situation. If someone wants to manipulate the people to believe everything he's saying, I'm going to make myself look vulnerable. I'm going to say whatever I have to say so that people can feel sorry for me. And what did we do when we heard that? We did say that. I'm not saying it didn't happen. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying it didn't happen to him when he was a kid. What I am saying is that that's not far-fetched to think that someone's going to try to win over the people that he's talking to. Okay? I can't say if he's been through that or not. I didn't even know this guy existed until he came into the picture. I know nothing really about this individual. I don't think any one of us knows anything about this individual. Hell, the fact of the matter is, maybe that's not even their name. Maybe that's not even his name. You know? I mean, it's all out there. Maybe it's not even him with his same last name. I mean, what is it on? What was it on what? Not Riddick, but oh, what was that other channel that he had a different name? His last name was like Stevens or something. What was that? Tick or it wasn't TikTok. It was like it was some channel group. Kick, I think it was Kick or something. Something of that nature. He was something Stevens. He wasn't even who he's claiming to be now. No let. He was actually something Stevens in this other app called Kick or whatever the hell it's called. So we really don't know this individual. We know nothing about him. As much as he could be lying through his teeth, he could be telling the truth. Then again, he could be telling the truth and lying together. And you say, well, how does that work? He tells you what happens, but he doesn't tell you who is really all involved behind the scene. So on some things he can tell you that's going to gain your confidence and your belief. And on other things, he's going to go ahead and not be truthful. There was definitely a motive for a grown man to say that yucky personal stuff to 3,000 strangers. I mean, what did you think was going to happen? Yeah, somebody had pointed that out, that he went on a different app. He called himself something Stevens, I believe. I think it was something Stevens or something to that effect. There's so much shit out there that I can't even remember. My point is, this guy could be telling you the truth about what happened to him, but could be misleading you on what he was involved with her. Or he could be not telling you the truth about him because he doesn't want you to know the truth about what he was involved with her. It's just that simple. I mean, it's not that simple. I don't want to make it sound like people don't get it. It's not that it's that simple. It's just in law enforcement, man, you got to look at all these details. That's all I can tell you. I wish someone could get in touch with his brother just to see if this brother is real. I thought somebody had made contact with the matter of fact there was a lady that said on, I think it was somebody's channel, that they said that she contacted him, the brother, and asked him if he would comment on this, that his brother is claiming that he is the individual in Nancy's front porch. And he said something to the effect that, no, that's not me. My brother's not all there. He's crazy. He's had this problem for a long time. He's always thought X, Y, and Z, you know, and said he would love to clear his name. Now, saying it and doing it is two different things. But didn't you all hear that? Didn't you all hear that? I know it was stated. I know it was stated. A woman called his brother, and the brother said he is nuts. Thank you very much, Tanya. Yes, I heard that. I heard that. And the brother said, I want to clear my name. SI channel. It was on somebody's channel. Most likely it was SI's channel. More than likely. My point is, he literally stated that. That the lady called him and he said, my brother's nuts. My brother's crazy. He's been doing this for a long time. He's not all there. Well, it's pretty obvious to see he's not all there. But is he not all there because what happened to him when he was a kid? Or is it the fact that he's not all there because this is his MO? This is how he operates, his modus operandi. You got to understand, I mean, you got to know that. So, yes, there was so much stuff out there. It's probably why his brother attempted to show up at his apartment, probably to whip his ass, to be honest. If my brother says something about me and I know that definitely is not me, yeah, we're going to have a talk. We're going to talk real quick. We're going to have that conversation. Whether you want to have it or not, we're going to have that conversation because this is the buck stops here. So I'm just saying that doesn't surprise me, in all honesty. It doesn't. And guys, just so you guys know, when I get very passionate about what I'm telling you, and I get very passionate and I say things like strong, don't ever think that I'm thinking that you are like, you can't process that. That's just how I operate. That's how I communicate. So don't ever think that I'm trying to belittle you or anybody else for that matter. The reason I'm saying this is I just want you guys to know that that's not what I'm saying. This is just how passionate I get about what I know. Okay? If I didn't feel strong about what I know, I wouldn't be this passionate. I wouldn't care 2 cents. But the reality is that I do, and that's why I'm very, how can I say, I can be very loud because that's how I operate. I thought nobody knows who that man on our stairs is, or did I miss that? He looked like the brother.
That's cute.
In all honesty, he looked like the brother. The brother that he's claiming by the pictures that we were able to see, I believe, from SI or others, or looking it up ourselves. He did kind of look like the brother. He did, not kind of. He looked like the brother. But it was never confirmed. Right. It was never confirmed that was him. But here's what you got to ask yourself. If Someone came out and said they called him, and this is how he responded. Now, A, that could be all BS, right? Okay, it could be all BS. Or that person just wanted to go ahead and call because they wanted to know, hey, what do you have to say about this? Your brother is accusing you of this. Okay, so the idea that he said where his brother lived, the idea that he said who his brother was, the idea that you were able to find the location that it did exist, and you were able to find pictures of this individual, I mean, kind of speaks for itself. Now, does that mean it's 100% guaranteed? No, doesn't. Nothing's 100% guaranteed in life, but that does mean that connecting the dots probably is. Didn't someone reach out to you after the pic came out and asked why you were showing this? Yes, yes, they did, Tanya. Sure did, sure did, sure did. And you know what? I couldn't give 2 cents. You know, when I show you something, it's not because I'm just trying to like glorify something. I couldn't give 2 cents. You know, I don't do things for that reason. If I'm sharing something with somebody, I share it because I want others to know. In my opinion, this is what I see. And I got it from this person or that person or this streamer or that streamer. I have no problem giving anybody their just due credit. The idea is that that person had an issue with me using that picture. I knew a couple who had 4 boys. All but one of them acted normal. None of them was schizophrenic and very crazy. Nothing like his other brother. Not saying that's the case with R, though I don't know. Very true. Very true. I mean, it just could have been a balance, a chemical balance, or something that didn't develop right, or, yeah, God only knows what it could have been. But it's not, and you're right, Bridget, it's not out of the norm. That does happen in a lot of cases. You know? I mean, look, I'm not going to get into my personal life, but my mom had 19 children, all from my one dad and one mom. Okay? My mother had 19 children, all from my dad and my mom. No twins. Okay? And the reason I'm sharing this is not everybody is all the same, right? Some have different, takes. Some have different views. Some have different likes. Some have different. Yes, very, very true. Thank you, Marianne. My mom had 19. Okay, 19 children. Okay, never took a handout from any government. Just so we're clear on that, never took not anything from the government, and the reason was because she said no one's going to tell me how many kids I can have and I can't have. So she never took a handout from nobody. Nothing. Zero. Okay? So that's what makes me proud of my mother. But to have 19 people in your family, okay, and all of them be the same? Well, no, of course not. There's always going to be different variances of people, right? So I say that because what Bridget said about 4 brothers, right? Yeah, I had 11. I was the 12th. And there was 7 other girls. So we're all, it's never that. It's never the same. There's always, and I can look at my family tree and look at back and say, I wonder if this person was a little bit bipolar. Or I wonder if this person, now that we're older and we're able to see all that, thank you, Bridget. Now that we're able to see all that as we get older, you ask the question, like, and for me, I asked the question, I wonder if he really had bipolar all this time. But back then, they didn't look at that. Bipolar, straighten up, kid. Get your shit together. Or, hey, I wonder if he had depression. Hey, stop being sad all the time. Just go ahead and be happy. Because we didn't understand a lot of the things that we understand today, right? Things back then, you just had to suck it up. Okay? That's how it worked back in the day. And the reason I'm saying that is because of that reason. But it's a well good point. that even 1 out of 4 could be great, or 3 out of, and what I mean great is maybe not have any type of deficiencies, right? But everybody's different. Some are going to have stronger abilities in some things and weaker abilities on other things. What this person may not have, this person will have, and what this person doesn't have, this person will have, and vice versa throughout that whole forum. So, yeah, for everybody listening, 19 kids, my mother never took a handout from the government, raised every one of us, my mom, my dad, okay, and literally never asked for nothing because no one was ever going to tell her how many kids she was going to have. And yes, she was Catholic, by the way. Okay? So, just for what it's worth, that's a tidbit. That's a personal tidbit that only you guys are getting and whoever else is listening. So, with that, that's where we get that it very well, there's so many red flags with this individual. Tanya says, after working in mental health, I know my mom's dad was a narcissist. I mean, yeah, and you're only you're gonna know that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I know I had several, that were had anger issues. I mean, and I know narcissist is not just anger, but my point is, we all have something. Okay, we all have something. Now this guy here, he's got a lot of red flags, and obviously a lot of it has to do to his mental health. Okay, and he has said as much. No one else has said it. He has said as much. Because of everything he's been through, his mental state is not all there. He has stated that. I'm not stating that. So the idea, we know he has some issues. We don't know nothing about his other brother. Hell, his other brother could be, smart, could be very intelligent, could be whatever. At 16, Tanya says, I refuse to be around a man, and my dad told me, my mom, to respect my judgment. There you go. Soaring Energy, 19. Your mom and dad were a super couple. You damn right they were. Thank you for that comment. Appreciate that, Soaring Energy. Thank you so much. And your mom was super woman. Hey, if I was half the man that my mom was, I've done very well. I'll just leave it at that. But I don't want to go ahead and that's just a personal note to you all. That's a personal note. But yeah, I mean, that's why a lot of us was in the military. That's why a lot of us served our country. That's what a lot of all of us were born here. We're all American. I mean, we were all born here. Hell, yeah, we were all born in this right here in the big U.S. of A. And a lot of us served in the military. So the idea, like, oh, I wonder if they were from here or there. No, 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 no. Right here, Midwest, baby, Midwest. That's where I've been. Except when I was in the military, I wasn't in the Midwest. See, there you go. Tanya said my son-in-law's mom also is one of 19. There you go. It's not out of the question. It's not out of the question. But that's a lot. Thank you very much, Soaring Energy. I appreciate that. But never once, and there was no twins. I can't state this enough because it really I am so proud. Because I asked my mom before she passed, Mom, how come you never really like ask for any help, or how come you never really you could have got this and that. And my mom worked. My mom worked all the time. And I asked her one day, I said, how come you never, got any help? And she said, son, she said, I never got any help because no one was ever going to tell me how many kids I was going to have. And I thought, damn, okay, hey, well said. I had nothing to say. Drop the mic, as they would say. Drop the mic. So for me, yeah, very special. Yeah, growing up, she was my rock. The older kids become mom and dad. Absolutely, that's how it rolls. You understand the pecking order. You understand your older siblings, the respect. That's why there was so much respect in our family with each other. We understood the pecking order. We understood how things work. Yes, my mom was born in, I want to say 20 in November, somewhere in November. I won't give the exact date, but it was in November. The year was 22. Yeah. 23. I take that back. 23. 23. I always thought it was 22, but it was 23. November. The month of November. So, yes, very special. Very special. And that's why I got into law enforcement as far as the camaraderie of the military, looking for one of my sisters, all that kind of stuff. But you guys know my story, little bits of it that I give you, and I told you at times I would give you little bits, so you understand who you're really talking to. That this is not just somebody who just is just. I'm not a pretender. I am who I am. It's just like Popeye always said, I am who I am, and that's what I am. They don't make parents like that. No, they don't. No, they don't, Sword Energy. Not a chance. Not a chance. So didn't want to depend on or answer to anyone, especially the government. Good for her. And she did it. She did it. She worked all her life, but she did it. And absolutely. And when I heard that, because I asked her before she passed, I moved back to take care of her and whatnot. And when I asked her those questions at her later years, that's what I was told. And you know what? That was a rock star as far as I was concerned. Yes, there you go. Gene said his name was Rick Stevens.
No,
Yes, you're right.
I don't know.
I knew it. I knew there was another name that he went by. Thank you for that, Gene. I appreciate you getting that for us. So we don't really know anything about this guy. But when you take somebody and you listen to somebody and you decipher, and I say decipher like I'm not talking about like decipher, but when you break everything down and you go by what he says, that's how you go ahead and validate or unvalidate. You understand what I'm saying? That's how you go. When they give you that, yes, Stevens was his last name. Thank you, Gene. I remember that now. Thank you for looking that up for me. I appreciate that. So, the idea, literally, that is, we don't know nothing. Nothing. It could be a million to one things. All we can go by is what he says. And when he gives you facts of what his facts are, not saying what that they're facts in reality, but his reality, his facts. When you get things from him, not so much facts, but when you get um, what word am I looking for? When you get a straight answer, right? When you get exactly what he's asking or what he's saying, he's giving you a solid information. Whether it's true or not, that's a different story. But he's not leaving any doubt. In other words, 3 bags. If you don't find 3 bags, then maybe two. But if you don't find any bags, then he's full of shit up to his ears, right? If he says that she was wrapped in netting and all this, if you don't find that all down there, he's full of shit up to his ears, right? It's common sense. He doesn't leave any wiggle room to say, well, maybe he meant this. There's no wiggle room. He told you exactly. This is how it happened. This is where it happened. This is why it happened. Okay? Now, some of those things you can't validate. We don't know that it was because of her faith. That we just have to take at face value. However, we do know that she had a strong faith in her faith in Christ, in God. So we do know that. Okay? when he says that how she was put into where she was put into, okay, in the water and how it was done, that that's either there or not. If it's there, hey, it's fact. If it's not there, he's full of shit up to his ears, right? You can validate that, okay? You can validate, um, you know, bloodline. My dad was this person. If you can get DNA from that person to show that he was his biological father, then yes, you'll be able to validate that, right? You can validate that. I mean, we can't literally, but you know what I'm saying? You can validate those things. Those are not just like throwing out answers. There's no wiggle room, is what I'm saying. There's no wiggle room. It wasn't a mistake. Okay? So that is how you look at things. Marianne, so what is his real name? Nolet or Stevens? He went by apparently, and Gene, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he went from with different names, correct? He went by different names, and that's what I'm saying. We don't even know who this guy really is, truth be told. If you like the live, please subscribe, click like, click your emoji, click that heart. And if you're here listening and you like the live, by all means, subscribe for free. It doesn't cost you anything. Just let you know when I'm coming on. The channel is growing. Do me that favor, please. Let's get this thing rocking so that we can get a lot of people and get a lot more opinions and learn from one another. Yeah, I mean, Soren Enter says, I have several good screenshots of chains. Now, some say, well, back then they held up the dock or they held up this or they were used for this. That's all true. That's all true. You know, very well could be. Then again, it's just ironic. What is it? When he said it, it's just a coincidence? You follow me? We get back to that coincidence bullshit. And it frustrates me because it seems like everything that we try to like justify, when we can't, we say, that's just a coincidence. We don't say it. But like Pima County Sheriff, okay, the law enforcement or FBI, that's just a coincidence. That lady that was screaming from the car, she had nothing to do with this, even though she was right there in that area of Nancy Guthrie during the same exact time. She had nothing to do with that. Oh, okay. It was just a coincidence. It was just a coincidence. The guy that was trying to get into the back of the house, of the fence, that was just a coincidence. Even though that happened like less than, what, half a mile, 4 miles, 3 miles from Nancy. It would have took him like 5, maybe 10 minutes to get to her house. That was just a coincidence. That had nothing to do with it. You follow what I'm saying? Everything's always a damn coincidence. Everything that happened is a coincidence. The white car that was hauling ass out there that the guy had in the back, the double backpack guy at the fence, that's just a coincidence. That there was a white car, a Kia Soul that was there when he was there, that was a coincidence. It wasn't him. You know what I'm saying? That LD crashed his vehicle afterwards, and it was blue in color, but his was a Charger. That was just a coincidence. Anybody could have had a blue car. You follow where I'm going? Not everything is a coincidence. Soaring Energy, I didn't hear that he tried to contact any other YouTuber. I didn't either. I didn't hear that, Marianne, Soaring Energy, I didn't hear that he tried to contact any other YouTuber. He never contacted me, thank God. Thank God. But the chain wouldn't be stiff if it's coming from the ground. Yeah, well, if you remember, when he got his hook, that line, he got it caught up with that chain, and he was kind of pulling on it, if you will, trying to loosen it. That chain was moving back and forth. So it wasn't like that chain wasn't given any leeway, if you will. It was given leeway. It was creating some, you know what I'm saying, some movement there. It wasn't like it was solid tight straight to the ground where it's not going to budge or it's going to be so tight that it's not really going to move. That thing was moving. That tells me that it's very probable. SI's fond of the guy walking with the dog on 211. He looked like Richard. What did you think? Very well could have been him. I mean, the 11th, that's like 9 days. Or that's happened on the 1st to 31st. So that's anywhere from 11 to 12 days, maybe at the most, after it happened that she was taken. Nancy was taken. People always come back to the scene of the crime. What better way than to walk a dog? It just seems like a nice man. He's just a nice man with a nice dog. Look at him. Everybody likes dogs. Everybody likes cats. He's got a dog, and it's a cute dog, and he's walking it. What better way to go back to the scene of the crime, walking your dog, and no one even bats an eye? Very probable. Very, very probable. Paige says, wow, okay, I think so. Soaring energy. I have 4 unanswered questions. Question above, one was asked twice. Okay, let me see. Chain. Chain, yes. There was supposed to be chains in there. Who said his name is Stevens? They came out, there was some sleuths that were going ahead and looking that into, and they found that picture of that individual, Richard, but his last name wasn't Nolet like it is on his Spike, whatever that damn channel is. Um, his name on the kick or whatever it was Richard Stevens, not Richard Nolet Jr. That's what you're asking. I think that's what you're asking. On the porch. Someone this AM made a good observation of the blood that the flower debris was on top of the blood, not the blood on the debris, which meant the blood was there before he did the crazy flower thing. Yeah, I mean this whole crime scene is so, how can I say, it is so abnormal. It's not even funny. I mean, not that it's funny, but you get what I'm saying. It's not. It's just. It just. It's not what you would expect. What other questions do you have, Paige? You got the chain. Who said his name is Stevens? You got that answered. Uh, yeah. So that's where we're at, everybody. Also, 857 pulled the picture of the day they reported Nancy, and there was no white car in the driveway before the cops came. Right? There was no white car in the driveway. Sorry, buddy. Just been a long day in my eyes. So that's in a nutshell. There's a lot of things there, and the only thing I'm saying is we don't really know hardly anything, if anything, about this individual. He may be telling the truth. He may be lying. He may be telling the truth on some things and lying on other things. You know, he's definitely seeking attention because he stated constantly that he didn't want this conversation to end and that he wanted to make sure that he wanted to keep the conversation with SI constantly. He kept saying, I don't want this to be the last time we talk. I don't want to be this last time we talk, right? So that tells me he was seeking that attention. He didn't want to lose that platform, okay? And So yeah, that's what I got. Soren Energy says, anybody know if cops made contact with him? No idea. No idea, Soren Energy. They need to. They really need to. That is a person of interest if I've never seen one. By all rights. But I don't think so. But I don't know. I don't know for fact. He said that there was FBI had came to his house, right? This is what he said. Richard said the cops came to his house, not cops. FBI came to his house, and that he agreed to meet with them in 2 days or a couple days or whatever. But when SI asked him for those receipts, like he said, show me the video that because he said they came and knocked on his door, and Sleuth knows that he had claimed that he had put cameras up, right? So Sleuth said, well, then show me the video of those. You should have it on video. Show me the video of the FBI agents that came to your door. And show me the card that they left you on how to get a hold of them. And he wouldn't do it. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't he give, if he really did talk to the FBI, that the FBI came to his door, he would have it on camera, as Sleuth said. He would have it on camera. Why did he just say, all right, I'll email it to you right now? And then clear that air. It's that call that trust factor, right? You want to make sure that they're telling you legit. Because up to this point, we don't even know if they talked. We don't know if he just made it up because he said they came to his door, front door, and knocked, and they asked that they wanted to speak to him, and he said he would talk to them. He talked to them, and then he would talk with them in a couple of days, come into the station or whatever. So the idea now is that did he really have that? Did that really occur? We don't know. We have no clue if that occurred. Why? Because he wouldn't show SI those receipts. And smart on SI for asking for those receipts. Kudos to him for asking that. To know to ask for that. To validate it. You know what I mean? So that speaks volume. Soren Ender says, "Do you think the guy walking with the dog in the video in February 11th looked like that?" I don't know yet. I really don't know. Uh, I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me if everybody's saying he looks like that. I don't feel like anybody would just say that out of the blue. It's usually an eye opener, right? Did no one knows that page? Did Nancy unlock her door for perp? No one really knows that. In all honesty, no one knows that. So we don't know. Um, Hell, we don't even know which door they came in through. Yeah, we know the back door was propped open, and the other door was propped open in the gate or whatever. They had flower pots holding it open, but we don't really know which way they went in. And Pima County Sheriff's Office never said from which did they come in from the front door or did they come in from the back door. They never said. So we really don't know. And those are little nuggets that probably would have helped people have a little peace of mind if they were able to tell them which way they came in, right? But then again, the family also said, Nancy's family said, that on many occasions, or then in some occasions, Nancy would not lock her door. She would either forget or she just wouldn't lock him. So, we really don't even know if they just opened the knob, the door opened, and they walked in. We don't know that. Well, we do know that it looked like they were trying to get that camera off and not show a lot of their face on that front camera, right? The door camera. They didn't want to go ahead and show any more than they had to there. We do know that, but we don't know if they went through. Hell, they could have just turned the knob and it opened and said, oh, wow, she left it unlocked. You never know. We don't know. Either there was forced entry or there was not. No doubt. I mean, it's either one or the other. The idea that if they went in there, whether it was by force or not, they went in there to commit a crime. Okay, and in the process, another crime had occurred, more than likely. The coming into someone's home, regardless if you're not invited, is breaking and entering, no matter what. Okay, no matter what. You come into someone's home when you're not invited, it's not trespassing, it's breaking and entering. Okay, so then you're breaking and entering in someone's home, and then this person becomes unalive. Well, now you just compounded that to probably, if it wasn't deliberate, or it depends on how she became unalive. It could very well be either a some type of unaliving somebody, a charge, or it could be involuntary unaliving somebody. You didn't mean it to happen, but it happened. You follow me? So there's so many ways that they could look at that. If forced entry, there would be signs of evidence of that. Right, you would think. I heard them say there was no forced entry that they found. There you go. Maybe the door was unlocked. It's very possible. I mean, the family said as much. Hey, says, imagine breaking into a locked, bolted, secured, sliding glass door. I mean, we've heard people talk on these other streamers' lives, and we've heard them say, I mean, even people who were like literally that would do burglaries of homes. I've heard them say in people's lives that it's not that hard to do. It's pretty simple when you have the right tools. It's really easy for sliding doors to go ahead and unlock them. You know, I mean that, and I've heard that from people on other people's live streams. You know, I mean, well, I don't know if a sliding door would be bolted or if it was, if it would just have a lock to it where you can put some type of, for a better lack of words, some type of Slim Jim or some type of, the law enforcement. We have those, uh, we always had the long wands. Okay, that's how we would get into vehicles to unlock them for people who lock their keys in the car. But some people have the straighter ones. We never had the straighter ones, but the straighter ones where you can unlock the doors, and you can slide those through there and move things around. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's probable. Right. Exactly. It's very probable. I personally have never used the black thin sliding for unlocking doors. I've always used the round long rim, and they give you a kind of like a plastic wedge, and you pound that wedge in that door, and it pushes that door a little bit open where you can slip your long. It's a long rod, about maybe, I don't know, 4 feet, 4 or 5 feet, and you slide it in there. Once you wedge it open, and you unlock the door by the button or whatever, you know. I've done that numerous times, but I've never used a ones where the older style where you stick it in the door and I've never done that. I've used the more moderate, I guess you would call it. Gene, they have blow up bags now with a stick. Yeah, well, I've seen those before too. You take a little black bag. What it does is it compacts air. You stick that in there. You start pumping the air. It starts to slowly open the door. Not open the door, but like gives you that crevice where you can then go ahead and go in there and stick your rod in there and unlock the door. I've seen those. Matter of fact, we had some of those, but I never used those. I just used the wedge. Stick the wedge right there at the crevice, open that crack a little bit, and then stick your rod in there. That's, to me, that was always the easiest way. So, and the Marine Corps, they would always say, you know, work smarter, not harder. That's definitely when I would take advantage of that. Work harder, not smarter. Or work smarter, not harder. My bad. But yeah, I've seen those as well. Gene says, I've used it plenty. Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I've unlocked many doors. Even my wife would lock a door or something, and I'd have to unlock it or something. I've used code hangers, but when I was in law enforcement, that's what I use. It just seems so simple. Yeah, some people put that long wooden stick and they'll wedge it in there, right? And they'll wedge it between the frame of the door and the bottom and the side, kind of like wedging it down so you can't move the door open, right? But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes when I were hear some people talking that were professional burglars on other streamers stream, they would say that they would stick some type of lock, almost like a Slim Jim, but it's the flat one. They would stick something in there, and they would pull it up, knock that board out, and then they would just slide the door open. You know what I mean? So I've had heard of that. I know what you're talking about, like a brando or whatnot. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there you go. And I mean, I've seen them before. People have those. Hell, I think my mom had, not my mom, my brother had one of those where you just wedge them down, and they're just like, probably about, I would say about what, a block type of wood that you can get at Home Depot or whatnot, and they would measure the cut of the size, and they just drop it down in there. And now they can't open the door. There's no way they can open the door because that wood is sticking straight down. But you could use a broom handle, you could use mop handle, you could use anything for that matter. Anything that could wedge it through there to stop that door from sliding open. So yeah, there's a lot of things here, everybody, and you guys have. I mean, you guys are sharp. You guys got really good ideas. You got good questions. You got good. You guys think outside that box. I mean, I love the channel because you guys really do get it. And when I'm talking about things, make no mistake, I'm talking to the people that don't get it, not to the people that get it. A police friend of mine told me they can break into a lock by sticking gum in the keyhole and then slip a object and turn to unlock. I mean, it's probably, no doubt, Bridget. I'm sure there's the thing about these burglars, they do everything and they find ways. I mean, this is their like their profession. They are master burglars. They know exactly what to use. It's not like back in the day when you got the picks and you're turning one little pick and then putting another little pick and unlocking like that, right? I mean, there's so many things that they do that they can have it just like that. You better like like Paige said, you better have that board going down. You better make it as hard as possible because these people they're the reason why they're professional burglars. They know how to do it, and I've heard a couple on other streamers' lives that have talked about that they had spent a lot of time in prison because of that of what they used to do. They don't do it now, but they used to do that. So they were talking about when, especially when everybody was saying that is this a burglar gone wrong? These people would say no. Burglars don't go in there to take people. They go in there to take things. They want to make quick cash. They take things to take valuables. They don't go in there to kidnap old ladies. I mean, that's not what they do. And this was coming from people that know what they do, their profession, right? I mean, you have to remember a lot of this stuff everybody does very similar when you're in that realm. It doesn't change people by people by people, right? It doesn't change. The whole concepts are all the same. You may have a little different variation, but they're all the same. A burglar is a burglar is a burglar. A kidnapper is a kidnapper is a kidnapper. You know, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's how they do things. So it's not something that's uncommon. It's not something that it's like there's different forms. No, That's why they have statistics on how things operate, how things work, what people do. That's why you have statistics that show that, you know, 92% or 82% of people of Nancy's age, it's like 82 to 92% that they don't, that just doesn't happen to somebody that of that age. Okay? Very rarely in the whole United States, it's rare. Doesn't happen very often. So when somebody crosses that grain and they go against the grain, well, yeah, it complicates everything because the statistics show that no, this is what normally they do. This is how they operate. This is what they do. They're calling in for the Bitcoin, right? The Bitcoin when they were saying about leaving the notes, say, hey, we want half a Bitcoin now and half later. You know, everybody knows you got to show proof of life, or you're not going to get money, right? Everybody knows that. Hell, you've seen it on movies, and there's a reason why you see it on movies because that's what they do, right? They know they want to know that their loved one is alive, and then they're gonna, if they got the money, they're gonna pay it to get their loved one back. But if you can't show a proof of life, well, you ain't getting jack, because what's the point? That person's already deceased. So now they're just gonna hunt you down or try to find who did this, and they're gonna, hold you accountable, right? They're not going to give you money when you can't show that someone's loved one has been taken, and you can't even show that they're still alive. But everybody knows that. Everybody uses that same methodology. I guess is what I'm saying. The same methodology. Everyone uses it. So for these people to think that they were going to get some half a Bitcoin or whatever the hell they were asking, 6 million or 3 million or whatever it was, it's the idea they're not going to get anything if they can't show you a proof of life. Okay? And I mean literally, some will want a proof of life, someone would be wanting them to be able to hear the person's voice. I mean, it just really depends. And at that point, it's not the person who's asking for the ransom that it has the cars because they have something you want. But in order to get what they want, they have to give you what you want. So now it kind of shifts a little bit. The control power shifts to the other person. In this case, the loved one is saying, show me she is still alive. See, now they go, well, hell, if our purpose was to take her to get money, right? Our purpose was to go ahead and get a ransom. Well, we can't get a ransom if we don't show the proof. So what's the point of taking her? We got to show a proof of life. That's and everybody does the same thing. No one skips a step. No, it just doesn't work that way. You know, um, so that's how that usually works. So some things are done always very similar. That's why this case has been so troubling. That's why this case has literally been so troubling. Okay? It's been so troubling because a lot of the normal things that you would normally see in a kidnapping, you're not seeing it here. You're not seeing it here. The idea that they're going to go ahead and send a note or give a note to, for example, TMZ and say, get this to the FBI in Savannah and tell them what we're wanting. Well, that's not how it's done. Okay? Usually, kidnappers want their money ASAP. And they don't want to have this person any longer than they need to have this person. They want to hurry up and unload this person. They just want their money. So it'll be maybe 2-3 days at the most, and you'll have something being done, a transaction being done, and that person will usually get their person back. In this case, it wasn't like that. They were going to TMZ, dropping off notes there. Maybe because their security system wasn't as good as everybody else's. It's possible. You understand what I'm saying? So now all of a sudden, they start to go ahead and do all these things that are not normal. That's what's confusing. But then you ask the question, why are they doing these things unnormal? That's the kicker. Why are all these things that normally would be done and they know how it would be done is not happening? Well, maybe because something happened in the middle of taking this person. Maybe they became unalive before they even wanted to be unalive. And now they have to scramble. And now they have to run on the fly. And when you gotta run on the fly, you have to be very careful because you'll make a mistake. That's why you always have everything planned, right? 2 3 days they'll get their loved one back. But here, why were they going to TMZ? It makes no sense. You know, it makes no bit of sense when all they had to do is literally call the FBI and say, hey, this is what we want. Get it to the family, make it happen. Then they contact the family and they say, this is what we would recommend, and they decide how they're going to go ahead and do it. You know? So that's all I'm saying, everybody. Is there's not any special science. Once you are in that life of crime, those usually scenarios always play out the same way, right? But they don't want to keep a person any longer than they have to. They want their money. That's what they came for. Okay? So now they're in a bind because something happened that wasn't expected. It had to have happened. She had to become unalive, and they couldn't provide what they needed to provide. It's that simple. It is that simple. I'm looking at the whole picture, no doubt, says Lisa. While they pray or nothing at all. Time away from family, etc. Don't forget about the like and subscribe, everybody. If you've been watching and you like this channel, everybody has an opinion, everybody has a theory. And nobody's opinion and theories are necessarily wrong. They're your thoughts, they're the way you see things. But sometimes when somebody's able to expand that thinking a little bit, someone like in law enforcement or someone like a profiler or someone like an investigator in law enforcement or something to that effect, it kind of opens the mind and go, damn, I never even looked at it that way. Well, why would you? Right? Why would you look at it that way? You're not in law enforcement, right? It's like me, you know. How would I look at something a certain way that is not my profession, right? So why would we expect anybody else to look at things a different way? You say, well, God, I never really saw it. But that's expected, right? Because that's not your cup of tea, right? You know? But that's why you trust the people that are there that understand it a little bit more than your average Joe or Jane. Either or. Vima says Jean, she was talking about things she saw on Reddit about Savannah pretty bad. I believe she called the FBI. Hi everyone, how you doing, Vmis? Good to have you. Jean said there was a caller today on a stream and said she found some website about five and all the gross stuff they said about her, and this was way back. Wow. He said, a big, endless, unnecessary, dangerous game, no doubt. I'm looking at the whole picture. Why they pray or nothing at all. Time away from the family, etc. Don't forget about the like and subscribe. Sorry, I got into a talking frenzy there, but it's important. It doesn't make anybody less than because they don't understand it. It's just not your realm, man. That's why you talk to people about the things that you want to know, who know what they're talking about. I don't know everything, but I know some things. Probably more than your average Joe. Okay, so what do you think is going to happen here with Nancy Guthrie? I think someone's going to say something. It's going to happen. The only way you won't see something like that happen is if it's within the realms of somebody in the family. Okay? And the reason I say that for is because that's like a taboo in itself, right? When it has to be somebody that knows the family or is related to the family. That's usually what statistics show. Okay, so what do I think? I think it's going to come out sooner or later. I really do. I think it's going to come out, and it may come out 3 months from now. It may come out 6 months from now if when this DNA gets tested and they're able to do the whole process and everything else. It may come out. My theory is just that. I gave you guys my top three. I told you who my top three are. That hasn't changed. And now you throw this anomaly, this individual that here recently just came out and said it was his brother. You throw that anomaly into it. I mean, you got to take that with a grain of salt. You can't dismiss it, but you can't also just bank on it. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? So I still think it's someone obviously that knows the family or knows Nancy. And like I said, it's always literally, not always, I can't say always, but it's usually someone very well close to the family. I mean, that's just it, you know? Hi, Arizona. Good to have you, Arizona. You in a talking frenzy. Sorry, Arizona. The fact of the matter is, guys, I'm just trying to give you what I know. Honestly, I just want to give you guys what I know, and that's really what I'm doing is giving you what I know. Some of it may be very, very. I mean, a lot of it may be right. Could be exactly how it works. Some of it could be spot on, and some of it could be off. I mean, no one has the perfect scenario, but if you go with your your literally statistics, if you follow that, you know, if I can get the who, what, where, when, and why, I'm going to solve that case. Any officer, law enforcement, profiler, law enforcement, detectives, or whatnot, if they get the who, what, where, when, why, they're going to solve the case. Okay? Right now, they got the where it happened. They took her from her house. They don't have the why. They don't have the where she's at, the where. They don't have the who. I mean, they probably only got one element right now, and that's not enough. That's not enough. That is not enough. One element. You gotta have that for the only way that one element would be enough if somebody came forward and said, "This is what I know. This is who did it." Then it solves everything else, right? But that's what law enforcement wants: the who, what, where, when, why. Just like when you were in English class, you want to tell a story: who, what, where, when, why. There's a reason why people use that. You know. Let me read some of these real quick. Marianne, they said it was old hair that was tested in Florida and now sending it to the FBI lab, which the lab will then end up sending to that new company, I think in California. They're going to send that off. The FBI is going to send it off because they're the only ones that do hair follicle without the root. So yeah, but yeah, in essence, the FBI they'll have it tested by that lab, and eventually they'll be able to come up with something. If it's an anomaly, it's something that somebody is not supposed to be there, right? And then you got to also look at, got to have some criminal history, has to have a record. If they don't have a record, then they'll have to go to literally, you know, 23andMe or, family tree or something to try to build that whole scenario. It's going to take some time, folks. It is going to take some time. That I will tell you. Beginning to think we're wasting our precious time. It's very possible. But here's the thing: when you're dealing with people's lives and they're citizens, literally, we are citizens of this country, we should get the best because we should have the best. We should get the best. No doubt about it. We need to know more about Nancy's inner circle. That is true. That is very true, Gronsky. I agree with that wholeheartedly. VMIS, agree, Gene. Arizona Desert Walker, good to have you. What did you think of Nano's lawyer's letter to BOS? You know, I didn't really get a chance to see that. If it was that one, the meeting they had today, I didn't get to see that honestly. It's been a long day for me. Um, but I will tell you this, Arizona, he's going to leave one way or the other. He's gone. He's going to leave one way or the other. He's going to take his pension and resign, or he's going to lose his pension and get literally, literally fired. So common sense would tell me that he'll take the resignation. He's fighting it as much as he can. I mean, and I think a lot of it is to save face, but the reality is he's done. It's just a matter of time. They're not going to budge on it. And that's what happens when you lose the faith of the people. G said, "Hi, Sleuth." And we have D4VD getting changed today. We're getting charged today. That is correct. The poor girl didn't hear a chance. Didn't have a chance. Eyes are bad, guys. Sorry. The poor girl didn't have a chance, says Gene. No doubt. I mean, yeah. I mean, they don't have the death penalty in California either. But I tell you what, that person should be. And I don't even think it was just him. I don't think it was just him. He doesn't strike me as that he has all that gumption. There had to be somebody else involved. Now, I don't know that to be fact. I'm just saying my opinion. I really think there was another person that helped him do this. Just my opinion. T-Grams in the house. My cat just came running in because it heard your cat in the background. That's funny. That is funny, T-Gram. Thank you. That is hilarious. Oh, I'm invested now. I can't stop thinking about G, about poor Nancy. An 84-year-old lady doesn't just poof in the air. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. And her family really didn't seem to care she was gone. Yeah, I mean, that's a little harsh, Gene, but I mean, you got to go with what you see, right? And what we see is there wasn't a whole, it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of we're going to search to the heavens to find where our mom's at. We didn't see that. And you're right. I mean, I can understand. I get it. I get it. Arizona, I think it will take pressure of a lawyer to get the public records. Very true. Very true, Arizona. VMIS. Yeah, very odd, Gene. They haven't really done anything. We can have pet time with all our pets, says Gene. That's a solid lawyer he has to. Oh yeah, I mean he got a top notch lawyer. Make no mistake. But I think what's going to do him in is literally going to be the fact that I mean, what could save him is that they should have been able to do their job and do a good background before they even gave him an opportunity to be the sheriff, even though it's an elected position, okay, by the people. But saying that, misleading and not doing your application the right way, or not by not enclosing all the things that they were asking, also is grounds probably for that. It'll be interesting to see how it all works. All caps for the blinds. Thank you very much, Gina. I appreciate that. God, I need that. Hey, there's a lot of people that hate like caps, but I'm like, hey, caps are good, man. I have no problem with caps. Not hurting my feelings. I'm nearly ready to move on. I'm missing out on my life. Want to see justice, but it's not. But it's out of my control. It's out of all our control. G says, "Me too, Didi. I think someone stepped up that D4VD. God, it sounds like a disease, don't it? D4VD knew what he did or helped. I agree. I agree. I know he had a best friend or a very close friend that he always hung around. And I don't know. In my opinion, he could be a little shyster. Who knows? Just opinion. But I really feel he had help with this. I mean, I just feel he had help big time. At first, I had empathy for the family, but no longer. Once you lose it, it's hard to get it back. No doubt about it, Paige. Arizona, oh yeah, the like button heading there now. Thank you so much, Arizona. I appreciate you. Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, everybody. Do me that favor. Be a devil pup in this channel. If you like what you're hearing, great. All I'm trying to do is give you something different. That's it. Just something different. I think my feeling about the family has changed since following this case live, and it's not for the better. Damn, I think he ended her life and employed others to dispose of it. Sooner or later, they will be flushed out. No doubt in my mind, Tegan. No doubt in my mind. Arizona, he had no marks on his name for over 40 years, and also remember the human resource vetted and did a background check, and that and the promoted him for 4 decades, so he will be untouched. Yeah, I mean, bad job. I mean, this really comes down to some lack of oh, what word am I looking for? This comes down to literally um, do not doing their due diligence, if you will, for a better lack of words. No doubt about it. Well said. VMS, another question on Nanos. Can he not get in trouble for the way he has done this case with Nancy and the crime scene? If someone got internal affairs involved, I just never seen anything so botched. Venus, I'm not sure that he can really get any charges on him for how pathetic or how botched this case was. The closest he's going to get is to get fired, removed. Now, maybe the family can go ahead and file something for negligence on his end for not doing X, Y, and Z. That is possible. But it takes a lot to get law enforcement. Literally, it takes a lot to get law enforcement. Uh, to get law enforcement, um, it takes a lot to really go ahead and take somebody out in law enforcement. And I don't mean literally, but you know what I mean. It takes a lot, because they now have police. Unions. They have a lot of protection. So I think that there's a lot there. I mean, I just don't think that he's going to be able to get away with not disclosing all his information correctly. Down, Bandit. Bandit, down. Down, Bandit. Yes, your mama's over there. Arizona. Internal Affairs reached detective on tip I gave, and they reached me, so I know the IA is active in this. Semper Fi, good deal, Arizona. Nice. That's nice to hear. I sure as hell hope not. I heard sure as hell hope not. Don't scare me like that. Give me a heart attack. There's my info, everybody. This is my info. Gene just posted it. Melissa, wild card. I hear. What's a wild card? Cool. No, but okay, thanks. Marine. Yes, DD is a former law enforcement and a former Marine. Amen. No doubt, Melissa. That is who I am. Who has the lawyer? Who has a lawyer in Arizona? Nanos has a lawyer in Arizona. A very good lawyer, to be honest. Probably, honestly, for that area, probably the best money can buy, to be honest, in that area. But he's fighting for a lot, so he's going to have the best. And plus, this is the crazy part. So the the Tucson, you know, his employer per se, they have to pay for his attorney fees because he's allotted protection, so he can get whatever lawyer he wants in reality. So Tucson, the sheriff's department, the commissioners and the councils and all that, they're not only going to have to pay for prosecute or trying to get him out, they're also going to have to pay attorneys for his fees because he's allotted to go ahead and be covered with attorney fees. You know, where they have to go ahead and pay for that. That's a part of being in the union. That's a part of literally their responsibility in case someone tries to file a lawsuit. Then they got to give him protection. So in essence, he can get the top dollar lawyer he wants, and it's going to be paid by, for all sake and purposes, Tucson. Gene says, "Hi, Melissa. Yes, Diddy is former law enforcement, Marine. No, but okay, thanks. Cool. I just try to give you guys the best I got, man. I hear. Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate you being here. There's my info, everybody. Oh my God, do you have? Are you okay, Gab? Gabby,
Yeah,
you okay?
yeah, man, it just tried to. He just jumped on the thing and put his claws into my hand and dug all the way down and
Oh,
fell off. He pulled all my skin with it.
oh, oh my God, do you have a no, no tarantulas here, man. I'm not into the tarantulas. I'm not into any spiders, to be honest. Arizona. Internal Affairs reached detective on tip I gave. That is so awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. As we say here in Blighty, jaws for the boys. No room for that this day and age. No doubt. No doubt. Well said. Melissa with the little cats. No doubt. Vimus. Okay, thank you. Arizona. Arizona sends Paige go to Pima County BOS meeting to see all that happened with Nanos. Gene, laughing out Melissa, looks like it, but it is a shadow. Yeah, it's not a. There's no tarantulas here. Trust me. I'd be shitting bricks, no doubt. I say that loosely, but I'd be shitting bricks. Yeah, it does. Seriously, I hate spiders. I see the tarantula too. There's no tarantula. Stop it. You're scaring me now because I'm going to make me look behind me. UM. Look to your left, Dee Dee. This is my right. This is my left. I think it's just a shadow, everybody. Yeah, it's just a shadow. Don't scare me. Please don't scare me. Melissa, save. Field trip, says Gene. VMS, yes, behind him on wooden door. Oh, that's another tripod. That's another tripod. Yeah. This right here, that's a tripod. Yeah. Oh, it's a tripod, everybody. Same. A free honorable society was nice while it lasted my 55 years. Gene says, laughing out loud, VMS, look. VMS behind you. No, nothing lasts forever. No doubt, no doubt. VMS, other side on the door. Okay, stop, guys. You guys are starting to get me worried. There's no tarantula in here. We don't have him here. Stop it. My right. Uh, behind you, other way. Yeah, I don't see anything, everybody. Stop it. You guys are hilarious. You think my ass would be sitting here if I thought there was a tarantula behind me? You're right, laughing out loud. You're right, stop it. There's nothing here, it's just a shadow. Yes. Spider, no spiders here. We do get spiders, but there's none here. VMES, okay, what a relief. Yeah, because you guys are giving me a heart attack. Arizona, case solved on that. And you guys solved it, not me. That makes you guys the devil pups in the room. No doubt. All my devil pups. Arizona, love last. Right back at you all. Much love for all of you guys. You guys are amazing. Is this a rattlesnake on your couch? Stop it, for God's sake. No rattlesnake, no tarantulas, no nothing. It's on your head. You guys are killing me. It's the 50th anniversary. The 250th anniversary, the Marine Corps. That's what this hat's all about. 250th anniversary, the Marine Corps. Yeah, very proud, very proud. No, it was Tripod Shadow. I'm dying, says Gene. Tripod. I so be out of the house if there was. No doubt, I'd be with you. I'd be gone. Adios, amigo. A tripod shadow spider. Oh, Lord. Yeah, right. Lisa with all the dinosaurs. Melissa, no doubt. Ooh, Raw, Semper Fi, Gene. No doubt. Boo. Stop it. You are a funny guy, man. Just me. Just me. I needed this. Awesome, Melissa. Well, appreciate you guys being here. Hey, everybody, let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and call it. I'm getting tired. My eyes are hurting. I think we're going to be doing these lives maybe at 5. How do you guys all feel about 5? Because every time I go out and I do it when I'm out and about, I keep losing reception because I go into the other side of town where I've always had the disconnection problem. I do got to get a Starlink, but you know what? It's just a dead zone is the